What's up everybody, I'm Duncan, I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to be previewing the game I know you've all been waiting for, the Sugar Bowl. This year the Sugar Bowl is back in the rotation as one of the college football playoff semifinal sites. We're getting a rematch of last year's Fiesta Bowl semifinal in Ohio State and Clemson, and boy it's going to be a good one. Coming into this game, Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney's added some extra fuel to what was sure to be an already heated fire, really throughout the season. Swinney has repeatedly ranked Ohio State outside the top 10 in his coaches poll ballot, mainly because they've only played 6 games. Now, whether or not this is a valid concern, Swinney has picked his bone very publicly. In fact, earlier this week, Swinney told reporters it was easy to prep for Ohio State since there was only 6 games worth of film. We'll see if this kind of picking strategy proves to be effective, or if he's just going to make Ohio State even more fired up. With all that being said, let's get to what's actually going to happen on the field. The second-ranked Clemson Tigers come into this game with a 10-1 record, their sole loss coming to Notre Dame, who is also in the college football playoff. Granted, this game happened without Trevor Lawrence and many starters on defense. Since then, Clemson's dismantled every opponent they faced, including beating Notre Dame in a rematch in the ACC championship game. Outside of the early season 2 overtime thriller against the Irish, Clemson hasn't allowed an opponent to score more than 28 points all season. When they're fully healthy, this defense is one of the top 3 or top 5 in the entire country. They've allowed just 4.63 yards per play and 298.5 yards per game, both of which are good for 6th in the entire country. Opponents are averaging just 1.7 touchdowns against them, and there's really no one player who stands out from the rest because they're just all so good. Trenton Simpson and Miles Murphy each have 4 sacks. Xavier Thomas, KJ Henry, Balin Spector, and Levante Bentley all have exactly 3.5 sacks. Ohio State can't choose to stop just one of these guys because there's 5 more exactly like them. In the secondary, Nolan Turner leads the team with 3 interceptions. And I'd like to point out that this is the same dude who had the game-sealing interception in last year's semifinal matchup. Cornerbacks Darion Kendrick Jr. and Sheridan Jones have locked up guys tighter than a weighted blanket, and their backups Andrew Booth Jr. and Mario Goodrich each have 2 picks. This defense is nasty. Taking a look at Clemson's offense now, I'm starting to feel seriously bad for Ohio State. The Tigers average over 500 yards of offense per game and 44.9 points per game. This is also an offense that can beat you on the ground or through the air. Reigning ACC Player of the Year, running back Travis Etienne was slightly worse this season, contributing 80 yards per game to Clemson's average of 163 rush yards per game. He scored just 13 touchdowns, which was his fewest since freshman year, but we know he has the potential to be one of the best players in college football. Also, they played a couple less games this year than they have in seasons past, but I don't know that that's really an excuse. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence is actually the team's second leading rusher, posting 211 yards and 7 touchdowns this season. Speaking of Trevor Lawrence, Clemson's pass attack has been much more lethal this season. Lawrence averages 305 yards per game and roughly 2.5 touchdowns. His favorite target to throw to, Amari Rodgers, averaged 97 yards per game and caught 7 tutties. 7 other guys finished the season with more than 100 yards, so Lawrence did a pretty good job distributing the ball this season. The Ohio State defense is going to be tasked with doing something not many teams have been able to do: stop a seemingly unstoppable force. On paper, they don't look up for the challenge, but we know from past experience that they have the talent to compete with anybody in the country. The Buckeyes allow 358 yards per game, which is certainly nothing to write home about, especially considering they really haven't played any powerful offenses. Northwestern's a good team, but they aren't really known for their scoring. And Indiana's the best offense they played, and the Buckeyes only beat them by 7, giving up 35 points. They do allow just 96 rush yards per game, which bodes well for shutting down Clemson's ground game. I am a bit concerned with their pass defense, which is 104th in the entire country. They will need to step it up to beat Clemson. In their defense, get it? This is the first year in a long time that they haven't had a Bosa Brothers / Chase Young type of defensive lineman. Besides, Ohio State's real strength is found in their offense. Superstar Justin Fields spearheads the passing attack, averaging 253 yards per game. He threw for 15 touchdowns in just 6 games this season. Fields, combined with running backs Master Teague and Trey Sermon, make up a 3-headed beast in the run game. Each have been the team's leading rusher in at least 1 game this season. Sermon leads the team with 675 total rush yards, but on any given day, any of the 3 could erupt. Receiving-wise, there isn't much to talk about. Ohio State really has 2 receivers, and that's about it. Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave are the only Buckeyes with over 100 receiving yards on the entire season. While Coach Dabo Swinney's comments may or may not be intentionally provocative, I don't know that he's necessarily wrong. All in all, Clemson is just a more proven team. They've played and defeated a top 5 opponent, while Ohio State hasn't faced anyone close to Clemson's caliber. Clemson's defense is significantly better than Ohio State's, and the Buckeyes are going to have trouble stopping the Tigers. Clemson enters this game as a 7.5-point favorite, and I predict they will cover, and then some. Ohio State is still a really good football team despite playing just 6 games, but Alabama and Clemson have really separated themselves from the rest of really all of college football this season. Who knows, maybe the Buckeyes pull off an incredible upset, but I just don't see that happening. I might think differently if we had gotten to see both teams play a full schedule, but for now, I'm going with the Clemson Tigers. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a good day and a happy new year. I hope you enjoy watching these couple games we've got. And be sure to leave a like and subscribe.